Okay, so very interesting topic today about life design. I think it's relevant for everybody here who wants to live a more conscious and purpose-driven, you might say, purpose-driven life, or life that's more meaningful, that's more fulfilling, shall we say. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is to actually share with you a document that I put together with the partnership of AI. AI writes a lot. Can you imagine AI is even more verbose than me? So what I did was I asked AI, I kind of talked with AI to reflect on this question. Actually, it's I'm live with a few people here just for privacy. I'm keeping them private. But one of you suggested the topic of life design, and the question that you posed was how do people hear their inner symphony? And then the rest of the group voted on the topics, and life design ended up being the top voted topic. So we're talking about that. And of course, I put the question into AI about inner symphony, and AI loves that word. Oh my God, AI just loves the word. The AI loves symphony, tapestry, weaving, and M dashes, of course, as we all know. So AI loves certain things. Symphony is one of those things. And AI just went full on with the whole symphony metaphor. And it's like, oh, the three movements of the symphony and all that stuff. So I thought it was very interesting. So I had AI talk about life design from varying perspectives. I mean, as you look into the document that I give you below, it has everything from Hinduism to modern systems thinking to indigenous medicine wheel to Jungian psychology, transcendentalism, positive psychology, even the raw material law. I mean, law of one. It's like it covers everything: Christian monasticism, habit theory, Islamic Isan. I don't even know what that is. Mastery theory, desert monasticism, Zen, and modern simplicity, African Ubuntu philosophy. It's Taoism, Celtic spirituality. It tried a Greek Stoicism, Japanese Kintsugi, Buddhist middle way. So it tried to integrate multidisciplinary understanding of what life design means, and based on its pulling from the threads, another word AI loves, the threads, and weaving the threads of these different disciplines into a holistic philosophy of life design. And then I took these various interdisciplinary ideas, and then I prompted several AIs, Gemini, GPT-5, DeepSeek. I prompted several AIs, and Claude Opus, to put together a practical framework. And it ended up with three movements of life design. And each movement is emphasized depending on if you currently are unclear about your life design. There's a certain movement that you might want to emphasize. If you are already clear and you're taking great action, you're in momentum, and you focus on, so if you're not clear, you focus on the attune movement. So the three movements are attune, express, and echo, as aligned with the inner symphony idea: attune, express, and echo. And so if you're not clear, you focus on attune. If you are clear and taking action, you focus on express, expressing more excellently. If you are kind of closing a chapter, recovering, you focus on the echo, reflection, movement. So anyway, I'm going to, before I talk some more, I'm going to give you a few minutes to look at the document and notice if there's any part of the document that's especially interesting for you. Whether it's the theoretical part where it kind of covers the multidisciplinary nature of this topic, or the more practical part later in the document where it gives you the three movements. Take a look and see what part resonates with you, because I would love to see your comments below on what resonated most with you. I think basically what I would love to know is, what are you taking away from this work? What are you taking away from this document? Life design is a topic that lots of life coaches have been trained in, of course, and lots of books about it. Maybe you know something about life design that you're bringing into this as well. But yeah, I'd love to see your comment below. What is most two questions. One, what is most useful or interesting to you from the document I've given you? And two, is there anything you'd like to bring to life design? Like when you're thinking about your own life design, or when you're counseling a friend or a client about life design, what do you recommend? So, two questions. Anything interesting from you for you from the document? And two, what else do you bring? Or what's your framework for life design? And I'll share with you my thoughts after I give you a few minutes. For those who are watching the recording, I'm literally just going to pause the recording and give you as much time as you want to before you unpause. So here we go. Take a look at the document and what's most interesting to you, and what else are you bringing to the life design conversation. So here we go. All right. So I hope you had a chance to look at the document, pull out any treasures, and then to reflect on how it integrates with your own understanding or your own practice of life design, if you have one. Um, okay, so let me share with you how I think about life design. Um, so first of all, I just have to say for the document itself, uh, you know, I AI is very verbose, like I said, and you might want to, if you like using AI, you might want to just literally copy paste this document into whatever AI you like, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Claude, whatever. Just copy paste the document in and says, please study this document, and please study what I paste below, and let me know when you're ready to coach me on life design. And then you enter, and then Claude or Gemini or whatever says, okay, I fully integrated it now, 2 seconds later. And then I'm ready for you. And then you could basically have it coach you. You could talk about your current situation, what you consider your current blocks or your current opportunities, your dreams, your um, you know, failures, so-called failures, and your strengths, whatever it is you want to tell it, and then say, all right, based on what I've given you from my own context here, what how what kind of conversation should we have, what questions do you have for me, or whatever, and just have it coach you through it. So because otherwise, I mean, you could ask AI to coach you on life design, but it kind of pulls from generic information, which is fine. But this document is probably more multidisciplinary and a bit more researched than whatever generic info AI will naturally pull. So, or you may want to pull particular parts of this document to say, this is particularly interesting for me. Let's talk about life design from that perspective. So anyway, just it's that funny comic about someone needs to write an email to someone and says, oh, I don't want to write this email, and AI, please write the email for me. AI writes this long email. On the other side, someone says, oh, what a long email, I don't need to read this. AI, please summarize the email for me. It's like AI to AI ends up AI talking to each other. Okay, so but the long story short is I hope that the document can be of use to you to actually make movements in your life and practical decisions. If you need to have AI coach you, or you need to read through, think about, well, what does the next step mean for you? Okay. All right. So let me go and share with you my perspective about life design, and I'd love to see if this is useful to you as well. So I think about life design starting with the most lofty, all the way down to minute by minute. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of quickly talk you through the levels I think about. So the most lofty is, what is your spirituality? Like, what do you believe is life purpose? Um, what's your soul? What is your soul about? Because if you believe in the soul, and if you believe, like as I do, that this body is going to expire, but the soul continues, then life design shouldn't just be about this body, right? It shouldn't just be about, great, what should my career be? That's fine, of course, important question, but it should be about what does this life mean to the greater movement of the soul. And so whatever it is you believe, spirituality wise, how does that inform the questions you should be asking yourself, and the values that you should be bringing into your decisions for career, for relationship, for, you know, um, where you live, and all, etc. Okay, financial, etc. Okay, so starting with the loftiest, spirituality, life purpose. How does that? What questions do you need to be asking, or what values do you need to bring? So, for me, for example, I think the soul is ultimately trying to go back to God, right? Like each of us, in my worldview, we are we have forgotten, and we are trying to reintegrate. We somehow, for whatever reason, we decided to take this long millennia, billion year journey back to God. And so we kind of, it's like well, it's like a baby. A baby is born and then has to learn a lot of different things to mature. And the same thing with the soul is the soul has to learn a lot and integrate a lot of different things to mature on our journey back to the all, the wholeness of everything. And so that's sort of like, in my view, the loftiest journey, the loftiest, it sets the context for this life. And so what is this life then? How does this life contribute to that greater context? That's the question I'm asking, right? That, like I said, you got to come up with the questions from the loftiest point of view. What are the most important questions that you need to keep in mind as you design this life? So for me, that's the question. It's like, how does this life contribute most meaningfully to my greater soul's journey? Okay. And then what themes? So to me, it means what themes does this life need to, what theme, topic, core topic is this life trying to work out? Like, I could have been born as you. I could have been born as a woman. I could have been born in Africa. I could have been born in, the 1700s. I could have been born in, the 3000s. I mean, we could have been, the soul, in my view, can incarnate in any time period, in any body. Why George Cow in this particular time in history? What kind of, and this family, the things I've been through, like, what is it telling me about the theme of this life? Like the themes of this life. So that's what I'm asking myself in my soul design, my life design. That's the biggest. And then the next question, or the next level I ask myself is, well, I'm in this world in this time. Okay, so society that I've been born into, and my family immigrated from Taiwan to the United States when I was young. So that wasn't my choice, right? Like, that was part of my soul's journey. Apparently, I incarnated into a family that would do that. So it's like, well, what do I learn from that? What's the part of, how does that speak to my life theme? Right. And so therefore, what should I practice more, or study more, understand better? So the world, also current time in the world, I think about what's happening in the world right now. Okay, so this is, I think you should ask yourself, what has got your attention that's happening in the world right now, in history right now? Because what's got your attention, the context of the world, speaks to your soul, and I think should speak to your life design, right? Um, so that might be what particular problems that are happening in the world that speak to you, that you might consider as part of your life design. It could be political, it could be spiritual problems, could be societal problems, et cetera, et cetera. Like, what speaks to you, right? It's different things speak to us, right? For me, what speaks was always spoken very strongly to me is not necessarily the political, but the more career oriented parts. I've always been very concerned about everyone's career. That's just always been, ever since I was young. I cared a lot about what people were doing with their time day to day, and whether that was meaningful for them. So for me at this time, it's like, well, AI is such a big thing. I mean, I was born in this era. I'm here in this era, and AI is going to dramatically change careers, and purpose, and meaningfulness of human life. So I am very aware of that. I'm very alive to that. And so that's why I'm leaning into a lot of my time and energy is into understanding how to integrate that and how to help people integrate that. But for you, it might be different. It might be something political, right? You might be involved in certain movements. Um, it might be spiritual. You might be involved in certain conversations that are really important to you that you think is needed for the world at this time. Okay, so that's world stuff. And then I think about generational. I think I touched on this a little bit, but like the generational context of you being born into this family into a particular lineage. What does that say? What question might you ask to inform your life design? Because it wasn't random that you have this lineage. And this lineage of yours also comes with certain strengths and certain weaknesses. Okay. So, for example, my Asian lineage, my Taiwanese lineage, most of my family is still in Taiwan. Like that means something for my life design. Um, and anyway, and if you have children, obviously that's part of your life design too, right? Um, your community, the community that you're part of. Like life design isn't just about me, what makes me feel the best, kind of thing. Well, I could say this. What actually makes us feel the best is when we design our life in context and it's not separated from what the community needs, right? Because if the community we're in is not healthy, we're not going to be truly healthy either. Um, if we are divorced from what's happening in our community, we're not going to be we're not going to feel fully balanced either. But the question then is, it's not necessarily wherever community you have to like you have to sell all your possessions and serve the community. You might also ask, what community do I want to be in? Yeah, because you have a choice. And you were born into a time when that choice is being made by a lot of people, that it's normal to make the choice of not just staying where you were born and just being there and dying there. It's normal in this context of society now to move countries if you want to, if it feels right to you. That's the choice that my wife and I made, right? To move. I mean, my family already immigrated from our origin story into, a totally different place, America. And then my wife and I decided to move from America somewhere else. We're in Mexico now. We might move elsewhere, but yeah, it's now I'm more embedded in this community than I was when I was in San Francisco. Like I'm actually know more people here, our neighbors, and we're more involved in the community activities here than I ever was when I was in the tech capital of the world. So that's interesting, right? And that's part of my life design now. Your family obviously is important. Your family of origin, if you still have parents around, if you have grandparents, whatever, uncles and aunts, does that somehow build into your life design? Not necessarily, but if it feels alive to you, if it speaks to you, if you keep feeling bothered by something, you probably should look into it for your life design, right? If you keep feeling like you're not doing enough of something, not because that might be a psychological issue as well, but it might also be a soul calling of some kind. I think it's worth reflecting on, you know. Um, okay, and then lastly, uh, another lens that I look at it is temporal lens. And this is similar to what we just talked about, but the largest time horizon you should look at for your life design is, well, in my perspective, the soul, eternal perspective. And then from the eternal perspective, then the current life perspective, like what would you like to what would you like if you could design the rest of your life, right? And you can, and you should. What does the most fulfilled and harmonious with the rest of the context that we've been talking about? Soul, world, community, family, um, what does the rest of your life look like? Okay. That's an important question. So this is decades, looking decades into the future. It's like, what is probably going to be my design like that would be most fulfilling. Okay. And then from decades, we go down to, let's say, year. For me, obviously year is very important because the year has 4 seasons and it has um I have a spreadsheet for the year in terms of my business, especially. And it's like, well, for this year, I would like to do these particular movements in my life. And then from the year, we talk about the week. Well, if the year is designed, then how does this week fit into the year? Now, for some of you, you might talk in quarters as well. You might talk in months. But for me, it's basically decades, 1 year, and week. For me, that's how I think about it. Well, eternal decades anyway. Okay, because that's just most practical for me. So for you, go with whatever time horizons helps you to design your life. And then from the week, of course, down to the day. Well, what does each day mean in the context of the week? How does each day support the design of the week, which supports the design of the year, which supports design of decades, which supports the design of your soul, right? The eternal journey. And the last thing I'll bring up, and this is something from the document, is two quick things I have to bring from the document. Sorry. One quick thing is the idea of small experiments. I really, really believe in this, and I really love this. So, for example, before my wife moved and I moved to Mexico, we first took a trip here, obviously. It's like, well, first what we did was we watched dozens of YouTube videos over several years. Like, it was not a light decision. We first watched YouTube videos about various countries. At first, I researched, where expats, American expats particularly, are going. What countries are people considering, and then I put together a spreadsheet of the different factors that I cared about for countries, and I ranked my spreadsheet on countries, and then I'm like, okay, Mexico. That's our one of our top countries. Okay, let's start watching YouTube videos about expats in Mexico. Okay, watched for years. We watched videos because my wife had to really ease into the decision. I was like ready to go the next day, right? And she's okay. So we took years to watch videos, and then not just watch videos, but also go into Facebook groups to talk to expats and how's things going, things like what should we think about, all that stuff. And then we finally made a trip, and we made a trip to two different, radically different locations in Mexico that we might consider that both had good weather and good expat communities. And then took the trip. And then from the trip, we meditated on which part we want to go. And then finally, we made the move, but we made the move saying, hey, well, we'll give it a year, see what happens. So it's always smaller experiments to medium experiments to larger experiments. And now my wife wants to become a Mexican citizen. Like it's, so I think that's important. And so I think it's important if you want to make a move like physically or a move relationally, a move career wise, um, you should start making small experiments today. Like, don't think of it as, oh God, I'm going to move to another country or another community. No, just start talking to people who are there, through Facebook or whatever, people start watching videos about that place, right? Whatever start making small experiments now so you can start to see what you don't even realize you needed to know. Start doing some research, start talking to AI about it, whatever. Start now, because then you are more informed about the choice you're going to make and whether that really is a good part of your life design. Okay. And then the other part of the document, and I'll end here, is the meta practice. I love this. Surrendered engagement. The document says this: hold this paradox. Give your best to the process while releasing attachment to specific outcomes. You are a co-creator with life, not a sole author. Not even your own life, you're not the sole author either, right? Practice this through excellence and effort, and yet surrender and results. Respond to what emerges. Don't force your predetermined design either. Like you say, well, this I designed my life perfectly from 50 years down to 25 to whatever and down to this day. And if this it doesn't go well, then the rest of my plan is being messed with. No, no, no. And maybe what you designed for this year doesn't even go the way you designed, and you surrender. Trust that setbacks contain hidden gifts. The universe is basically continually talking to you about your life design through what actually happens. And then you respond to what actually happens through your conscious, intentional, grounded whys to say, well, I think it really should be designed this way. So I'm going to keep going in this way. But I'm going to also keep listening to what happens actually in my life and how that is trying to speak to me about how I can design it better, more harmoniously. So with that, I'm going to leave you to it. I look forward to hearing in the comments below what, if any of this resonates with you, what are you going to do about it? Thank you.